Iguodala to Curry, back to Iguodala, up for the layup. Oh, blocked by James. It's over. It's over. Cleveland is a city of champions once again. The Cavaliers are NBA champions.
That sound means it's time for Cavs on the Break, NBA podcast, part of the Press Play Podcast Network. I am your host, Chase Smith, and with me, Cavs insider, national NBA writer for Sports Illustrated, ladies and gentlemen, Sam Amico. Sam, congrats on the new gig, brother.
Hey, thank you. I'm very excited. It, as I told you before, it kind of came out of nowhere, and it's a great opportunity. I'm very excited, not just obviously Chase for myself, but also for the readers, because I think it's going to be a really cool thing.
Yeah. So last week around this time, we were talking about when we're going to record, and you said, "Hey, got something in the works. Keep it on the DL." But there's a possibility that Sports Illustrated could be a thing, and got really, really excited for you, Sam. Share a little bit about how that kind of came about and what the future means for MicoHoops.net or .com, and kind of how your responsibilities to the team are going to change for this season.
Yeah, well, first of all, SI has gone through some changes within the past couple months.
They've been in the news. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of it, as a guy who was laid off twice by Fox, I can feel for the people that went through that. So there's definitely that, but it's tough. It's a tough business because it's constantly changing and evolving. And the new owners, long story short, made a decision that we're going to hire a beat reporter on the ground in every city for every team. And that's, not just NBA, but NFL, I think 200 and some colleges, major colleges, Major League Baseball, they'll start that process after, the new year. And it's been, it's basically a huge undertaking by new ownership. And they reached out to me about the Cavaliers, knowing that I've been in Cleveland and I'm a former Cavs beat writer. And they also offered to, bring over all the content from AmicoHoops.net. I'm pretty sure that the URL, when you type in AmicoHoops.net, will take you to the new Sports Illustrated site. So, it's all been a process in terms of kind of figuring out what exactly my role will be, but I can tell you what I'm going to do will be very similar to what AmicoHoops.net was, only I'm going to be so much more entrenched with the Cavs again and be on the ground in Cleveland. And, AmicoHoops.net, I was working 12, 14-hour days, obviously not a real hard job, but it was a long day, and this will bring that back, scale that back a little bit, but we're still going to have the same amount of content because you got to look at it like it's almost like AmicoHoops.net with 29 new writers, covering the rest of the team. So it's obviously, it's all Sports Illustrated, SI.com falls under their umbrella. And the nice thing is I won't be working those 12, 14-hour days. So that kind of kept me away from the Cavs beat because I was managing a business. Now I can focus on going back to writing and covering the Cavs and building the relationships with the players. And, next week I'll have a one-on-one on there with somebody, whether it's Kevin Love or Tristan or Colin Sexton. Now I'll have that access and be able to cover the team like I was 4 years ago before I launched the website for Fox Sports. So I'm very excited about it. Chase, it should launch. From everything I've been told, the Cavs site, they're slowly but surely launching all 30 NBA teams before next Tuesday is the goal, I believe, when the regular season kicks off. But I can tell you the Cavs, if not Thursday, will launch Friday at the latest. So I've already got stories ready to go for it, ready to preview the season, and I feel very excited and really, really look forward to trying to knock it out of the park for a team that, while isn't going to be very good, they will have some great storylines.
Yeah, and it couldn't happen to a better person, Sam. I know when we went to a game together last season, every person that I saw you come in contact with, it was, "Oh, hey, Sam," and "Hey, Sam, great to see you," and "Sam, hey, how you been?" Uh, it it is a no-brainer for SI to reach out to you. You have incredible relationships with not only the players still in the team. I know we talked about Tristan before our last episode last week. Um, but just with the administration and the people in the arena, like I'm talking like security and the other like wait staff, and like people just know you, Sam. And those of you who know you outside of this, like it's completely well deserved. And I'm just so happy for you, man. Congratulations. You're going to kill it, man. You're going to do a great job.
Well, I appreciate that. And part of that is because I'm kind of, I looked around at the end of the preseason game and kind of thought, you know what, I'm kind of the senior citizen now amongst Cavs writers, because I've had the longest tenure. So I think that a lot of that has to do with the arena stuff, but, and knowing the security guys and everybody. But I frankly, it does help. It does help to know everybody. So thanks a lot. I really look forward to it. I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, it was a cool experience. Now, I do have to ask this. You can't help but, when you hear this kind of strategy, think about The Athletic, right? Now, they kind of rolled out the same strategy. And honestly, ESPN tried it a couple years. They were like 7 years before their time about kind of where we're going here.
Right.
Does SI see The Athletic as kind of their main competitor now?
Well, the SI model, the difference, of course, and I'm not, this isn't me ripping on The Athletic, because I hope the idea of, frankly, as a journalist, that a paywall will work, because then everybody becomes a paywall, and I think that means it's working, and the readers are open to that. We do not have a paywall at Sports Illustrated. We will not. There will be, some insider stuff that some of the writers for some of the teams will, kind of like ESPN does, that you may have to pay a $2 a year fee or something for. I don't know what the price is. I don't intend to have a paywall unless they order it. But, and if they do, I've been told it would be something like one every 7 or 8 things, so we're a free site. And that's going to be the main difference. But ideally, yes, The Athletic does cover local teams like the Cavs, Indians, and Browns, as Sports Illustrated is going to. The difference, though, no paywall, no constant paywall for Sports Illustrated. So, I think the journalism will still be strong for Sports Illustrated, even though they're not putting a paywall forward. But yeah, I mean, it surely will. And it's a trial and error. This model is a trial and error. As I told my wife, you know what? Hey, worst case scenario, if it doesn't work, there's still going to be an internet, and I'll just go right back to doing Amico hoops, right?
Yeah.
That's not the plan, but I mean, I'm just excited about this new opportunity, and I honestly think that the readers are just going to love it, and I do think a big reason is because there will be no permanent paywall. It would be, hey, I might click on this article and have to pay, or I'll pay a $2 fee or something. But I don't plan personally from Cavs coverage to have to implement that very much, because I didn't find a need. I had none on Amico Hoops, and I still did okay. So I don't find a need to do that on a personal level.
Sam, will any of your articles will Sports Illustrated still release a magazine, or what is the future of print for Sports Illustrated? Have they talked to you about that?
They haven't talked to me specifically about that. I've read about it from different spots, and by all indications, everything that I've seen from the CEO, James Heckman of Maven, that bought Sports Illustrated, is they fully intend to keep that going, the print version. There are around 3 million subscribers. The idea behind all of this move is to rebuild the SI brand, which obviously is a bastion of sports journalism, but it was kind of getting forgotten, I think. recently. And so the idea behind this and sinking all this new money into it and repurposing the money from everything, I believe, is, they are going to continue to not only build or, repurpose the brand, but make it bigger and make it more noticeable and make it much a bigger player in the field than it already is. So I really think, look, Chase, if I didn't believe in this and didn't think that it was going to be really, really cool, I wouldn't have given up a website because my website was doing just fine. But I just think that this is a really cool thing for the readers and for the people who have supported me. And I can't wait for them to see it, because I think once it's finished, by January, once the whole thing is finished, I think people are going to Sports Illustrated will be, right up there with ESPN as the spot to go for sports news all over the country, not just in Cleveland, but everywhere.
Well, we believe in you, and we believe in the Sports Illustrated brand, and we can't wait to see what you bring to the table, Sam. Congratulations. Let's talk about the Cavs. The preseason is over, Sam. The season is here. Finally, basketball is back, and it came back in a crazy way this week. We're not going to talk about Daryl or LeBron at all, but it is back, and it's not going away. The Cavs wrapped up their preseason tonight against the Celtics, and they ended the preseason officially 0-3. But we're going to say 1-3 because they had their first game against Buenos Aires. Sam, what is your main takeaways from the preseason Cavs, what they're able to show us here in the last couple weeks?
Well, they, admittedly have a lot of work to do in terms of the offense that Coach John Beilein's trying to institute, that led to so much success at the college level. He has said, as the preseason wrapped up, we're still kind of guys are still adapting to what we're trying to implement. So we've kind of had to, we had to mix it up a little bit and go back to a little bit more of what they're used to. And that's going to be, a process that is going to drag on into the regular season. Guys are having trouble adapting, so they've had to adjust the offense a little bit. And that's just from having, so many different types of players. And by that, I mean, you've got the young guys in Garland and Porter Jr. and even still Colin Sexton, and even Jetty Osman that you're trying to implement all this stuff, and it's really foreign to them. And then on top of that, you have veterans that have been in and out of the lineups, and Kevin Love and Tristan Thompson in terms of either little knick-knack banged up or resting or so it's really a work in progress. And, I don't want to come on and say, hey, it's going to be a really long season, but because I think there's going to be some really cool things about it. But I think that they're definitely on track to be better at the end than they are at the beginning. I don't think they're going to be real good at the beginning. It's going to be tough. They're not real good defensively now. Garland and Sexton are probably going to start in the backcourt. They both have a lot of work to do defensively. And they're just not other than Tristan, they don't really, and Delly, who are kind of energy guys, they don't have any kind of stoppers defensively. So this is a team, and Kevin Love said this after the final preseason game, we're going to have to hustle. We're going to have to play hard because right now we just aren't, there's not been enough continuity or cohesiveness as everything is so new in terms of so many key players are new or young, and you have a brand new coach who's never been in the NBA before. He said the way you make up for that is really playing hard. And he said, hopefully we do that and we learn to do that right away, because you don't want to wait around on playing hard. You got to do that to overcome some of the other stuff that the Cavs are going to go through.
Yeah. I don't think many people take stock in a preseason record, especially with a young team and a new coach. But here are a couple of things I think that happened this preseason, Sam, that I think are positives for the Cavs. First off, no major injuries. Everyone got through the preseason relatively healthy. I did see a tweet today that Delly got injured when he got blocked by Taco. Is Delly okay?
You know, he has had a something going on most of the training camp, and something going on with his thumb. And he went up for a shot against Taco, which only Delly would try to challenge a guy who's 7'7".
Right.
But he did, and
which we love him for that. We love him for the 7'7" challenge. That's why we love him.
Absolutely love him for that. Yes. And I've got a funny Taco story after this, but Delly went up for the shot and Taco Fall blocked it, but after he blocked it, he came down. His hand followed through and just touched Delly on that thumb that was already wrapped up and not in great shape. So I don't think it didn't look like it's anything serious, but he is going to have some X-rays on that. So we'll have to wait and see on the results. But yeah, everybody else is clearly at this point ready to go. And Garland and Porter, the two first-round picks, played more minutes in the preseason finale than they played in the other preseason games. So
yeah,
that was the idea, to keep them out on the floor. So everybody should be, at least if all goes well this next week at camp, everybody should be good to go for the opener.
Look, I love Delly as much as the next Clevelander, but would you rather have Brandon Knight play those minutes or Matthew Dellavedova? I'm not sure if this injury couldn't really help the team when this season rolls around if Delly is out for a couple games. I mean, Brandon Knight's been playing excellent.
Yeah, and I think that they both have their purpose, and both serve their purpose, obviously, as the older veterans in the backcourt, obviously with Garland and Sexton. You've got Delly and Knight coming off the bench. So I think they both serve their purpose. But overall, and the other thing to think about, Chase, is something else that we're going to talk about as the season moves forward, I'm sure, is the fact that you've got two guys there with expiring contracts, which automatically makes them guys you're going to be talking about, in trades and potential trades. Along with Tristan Thompson, whose deal is expiring, and Henson, and I think there's one other guy in there that I'm missing, that has an expiring contract. So, it's
Clarkson.
I think you're right, Jordan Clarkson. Yeah. So, there's going to be, SI.com, the Cavs site with me, is going to be rife with trade talk, I'm sure,
Oh, yeah.
and not stuff that I'll be, making up. It's going to be real, because those guys are all going to draw interest from contenders for one reason or another. So the Cavs are certainly going to have to listen to that stuff. But
especially with how the league kind of changed the lottery draft. You don't have to be the absolute worst record now to have a chance at one of the top picks. And so even come January, February, even if we're not the absolute worst, even if we're the kind of just barely making out of the playoffs, I think making some of these moves might be kind of incentivize a team maybe one more go at the lottery here. But I think relatively no injuries, but also I think in the preseason, not only were our main players healthy, our young players popped, and there was a lot to like from Sexton, from Darius Garland, from Kevin Porter Jr., who I'm telling you, Sam, I think really could surprise a lot of people this season. Were you impressed with the young rookies these last couple games?
Yeah, I really like both of them. I wasn't, at this time last year too, I wasn't really sure what to make of Sexton. Obviously, you became more impressed with him as the year went on. But I think that speaks to Garland and Porter, Kevin Porter, is that I first of all, with Garland, he's got a very smooth offensive game. he's a very smart player in terms of, has kind of an NBA level decision making already at 19 years old. He doesn't force anything. He's got a great feel for the game. Obviously, he does, and you hate to say this, but he does in the styles that he plays. I'm not saying he's going to be this great, but his style is very similar to Steph Curry in the sense that he can make outside shots. He's very smooth. He's a very good, throws some very nice passes, doesn't force much. They both had dads who played in the NBA, that they grew up being raised in an NBA environment and being taught the NBA style of game. Winston Garland, who was Darius' dad, played for Golden State, had a nice little career, and was one of those kind of tweener guards who was a 6'2", kind of 6'2" shooting guard who could fill it up. And you could see shades of Darius or Winston in Darius Garland. So I really like his game. I do. I think that having watched the NBA now and covered it for 15 years, I think that this kid is going to be a very nice player, if not special. And Porter Jr. very clearly, I think he has a little bit to learn in terms of the NBA game, which is perfectly fine. He's 19 years old, but is already an NBA type of athlete in that he got great length for shooting guard, small forward type, is outstanding athletically. It can make those highlight reel type of plays. I think there's a lot to be excited about with him as well.
Yeah, Darius Garland, when he shoots, it just looks so effortless and kind of very similar to that Steph Curry. Like, man, it just looks so easy and so silky smooth. A lot of shooters, you don't get that feeling. It either looks discombobulated or forced or like they're trying really hard. Darius, it's a flick of the wrist, man, and it's there, and it's just wet. And so that's been really encouraging to see. I haven't seen a shooter like that, for the Cavs. I mean, I know we were just a ton of shooters the past 3 or 5 years, but it's just Darius is just a little different. I just feel like, I don't know. And then Kevin Porter Jr., I mean, he is just athletic, and the way he's able to kind of create his own shots, that's the NBA. You got to have a shooter like Garland. You got to have someone who can create their own shot like Kevin Porter Jr. I think Sexton is an incredibly fast player. I was impressed with his ability to get to the line as the season went on. I think that's just going to need to improve. But I think all of a sudden we had this kind of triple-headed juggernaut that if they continue to grow and gel could be something really, really special. Is that an overreaction?
No, I think that all three of those players have nice upside. Yeah, and they all match, even though people are like, well, Garland and Sexton are, both 6'2" or whatever, and they play the same style, but they don't really, because Sexton is a guy who's more of a volume scorer, who's going to, who can put the ball in the basket. He finds ways to get to the basket. He finds ways to put the ball in the basket. It's not always pretty. But like you said, Garland truly is. He looks so effortless. I think he's going to be the main reason to watch them. I really do this season. I think watching him grow and Garland has the potential to fill it up some nights, and the way he can pass, I think that fans are going to really, really like him, and he'll be a fan favorite. And Sexton to me too has that ability to kind of be that junkyard dog kind of guy, where, like you said, he's super fast. He finds ways to put the ball in the basket. And put it this way, Garland's kind of like the guy who shows up in the tux, and Sexton's the blue collar guy, and they both have their value in the backcourt. I think that's good. And Porter, he's gonna awe you sometimes with slams and that kind of stuff. And I really think that once Windler gets into the lineup, he will be the kind of guy who can fill it up on the perimeter. So they're going to have that youth that people are going to want to follow and kind of tune in to see how they're coming along. So I think that that's going to be a big plus throughout the season, as long as you're not as long as you're not getting mad that they're not probably winning much. Because guess what? Young teams in the NBA don't really win that much. They develop and they have their purpose, and with so many key young guys, it's going to be tough to get a lot of wins. What you want to do is see them play a nice brand of basketball and keep games close and be competitive, so that when it's winning time, they've got a pretty good idea how to go about it.
Yep. Well, that's enough of the preseason, Sam. Let's jump to the season. Week 1 slate here. The Cavs have 2 games on the schedule. They open the season October 23rd or Wednesday in Orlando against the Magic. And then 3 days later, their home opener on a Saturday, the 26th of October, against the Indiana Pacers at Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse. The nickname for that, is there a nickname for that yet, Sam? We talked about the Rock pre-show. I'm not sure what the official nickname for that is. Any word on the street there?
I think it's the Rock. I think that people are calling it the Rock, and if not, we will, and we'll make it the Rock. Because I think that's, what else are you going to call it? The Fieldhouse doesn't have the same ring. The Rock has a good ring to it. As long as the wrestler doesn't sue us, we should be fine with it.
So 2 playoff teams here in the Eastern Conference. Kind of a good test here for this young team. New coach and Beeline. What do you expect the Cavs to do? Who do we have a starting 5 yet, Sam?
I think that I think the starting 5, while it's not set, I will say this. Number one, John Beeline said once he gets a starting 5, that's who he wants to roll with, and he wants the guys coming off the bench to know, what, every game I come in the first quarter with 6 minutes to go in the first quarter, or I start the second quarter, or he wants everybody to be really clear, and part of that is you got to stay healthy, but he doesn't want the guys to be surprised. He doesn't want to keep mixing and matching a bunch of different starting lineups, as a lot of NBA coaches will try to do, particularly when their team is struggling. They'll keep trying to change things up. He doesn't want to do that. He wants to let the starters grow together. He wants the bench guys to know when they're playing, who's going to play, and to keep those surprises at a minimum. And you know what? Players like that better than thinking, why didn't I play today? Or, I love Mike Brown as a person, but I could tell you he drove the players nuts with his rotations, because there were games where Anderson Varejao would come in the middle of the second quarter like, well, what? I'm the 6th man. Why am I coming in so late? What is going on? And that can create discord in the locker room, and Beeline wants to avoid that. That said, to answer your question, Chase, I do think that Garland and Sexton are going to start a backcourt with Jetty, Love, and Tristan. I don't think that's a big surprise. The only thing that could be potentially different is maybe Garland comes off the bench to start the year, but I doubt it. I don't know. I think they want him to start. I think Beeline wants him to start, and he's probably already. I don't know. I don't want to take it. This isn't a shot at Brandon Knight, but I think that Garland may be already better. So you start your best guys now. Now maybe you want to roll out the veteran early and Brandon Knight to play, and he has had a great camp, and he's been a great soldier in terms of, just being agreeable to everything the coaching staff wants out of him, and been a great teammate. So, it's not a knock on Brandon Knight to say he might not start. It's what Beeline wants ideally is for Garland to be the starter with Sexton moving forward.
Yeah, and hearing Coach Beeline talk like that, just all the more kind of leaning toward Darius Garland. Plus, Brandon Knight, you're not the 5th pick for the Cavs, brother. You know what I mean?
Right.
I think that matters in these situations. They didn't draft Darius Garland to come off the bench, and if Beeline really is wanting to stick with his guys, Garland's starting October 23rd in Orlando.
Yes. Yeah, and Brandon Knight is not part of. It would be a shocker if he were still around next season, even. So
right.
He's not really viewed as a part of the long-term future unless he just has a great start to the season.
So what do you see the Cavs doing here these first two games here, Sam? Do you think they split? Do they win them both 0-2? What do you expect to see here come the end of next weekend or 2 weekends from
I
now?
totally I totally expect 0-2. I mean, they never play Indiana well. They didn't play them well last year even without Oladipo. They just haven't played well against them, and I know that both teams have changed a little bit, but Indiana won't have Oladipo, who's still out, but they got better. I mean, they added Malcolm Brogdon from Milwaukee, who's a nice player at the point guard. They added Jeremy Lamb, who had a really nice year in Charlotte. So and Sabonis is a nice player at power forward. So I think while they don't have Oladipo and they lost Bogdanovich to Utah and Thad Young to Chicago, I think that team is probably deeper. It's the Indiana team that they have now and considerably more experienced and extremely well coached. I think Nate McMillan is, for whatever reason, the guy just never gets enough credit.
Yeah.
But he is truly one of the best coaches in the league. He really is, and he's proven that year after year. But for whatever reason, never gets the credit. And Orlando's going to be tough. Orlando's going to be a good team this year. I mean, they also have a playoff team that's young. The Cavs did not fare well against them last season, and I playing at their place on opening night with a mostly young nucleus in the Cavs and a team that's looking to take that next step after, hey, Orlando would beat Toronto in the first game of the playoffs last year. So I mean, they're looking to take the next step and get up to that hope. They're hoping for that 4 seed would be the big goal, but 5 or 6 up from 8 that they were last season. So that's going to be a real tough game on their floor at their place with the Cavs are still trying to find their way. So, I again, it's going to be hard to have real high expectations simply because you can see a team in the Cavs that's really still trying to far from a finished product and is still trying to find its way, even just in terms of gelling in the simplest form. Whereas these other 2 teams that they're facing right off the bat are teams that have pretty lofty goals for themselves and are expecting to be, in the race for the top 4 seeds in the East, probably more realistically top 6, but they have big goals.
I hear that 0-2 realistic prediction, Sam. I think we're going to steal one in Orlando. I understand we probably will go 0-2, but man, I just want to see this team do so well. I believe in Beeline, and I know you do as well, but I just don't want to say, yeah, I agree with you. So just for fun's sake, Sam, I want to say we're stealing one, the season opener in Orlando. Beeline gets his first one right off the bat. But I say we lose pretty embarrassingly our first home game at the Rock. I think Indiana might be one of the top 2 teams in the East, definitely top 3. I think you go Bucks, and then really I think it's Pacers Celtics for that second spot. I think with Kawhi going to the West, the Raptors, good. Philly, I think they're going to be fighting for that second as well. But I agree with you. I think McMillan is underrated. I mean, I think they probably honestly had a really good shot at beating the Cavs 2 years ago. When the Cavs swept the Raptors and all that stuff for a couple years ago. And so I think they're a really, really good team. But I'm going to say that we steal it in Orlando and we lose the opening game at the Rock. Is that fair?
I hope you're right. It'll be a lot better for the new SI.com Cavs website, and it would be great for the fans. It'd be great for the fans if they do it. And look, the Cavs are going to win some games with teams like that sleeping on them because they're not supposed to be very good.
Yeah.
And they know that, and I know that, I had a conversation last year for the website with Mark Price, the Cavs legend, and he said, look, there are going to be times when this team is going to steal some games because they hear everybody saying that they're supposed to stink, and that's going to that he said that is a huge motivator in pro sports, is when you're supposed to stink, and that enables you to steal these early games. So hey, I hope you're right. I really do. I don't think you will be, but I hope you are.
if Darius Garland stays healthy, I think he has a potential to drop a 15, 24, point quarter, and just kind of get hot. And all of a sudden you're getting text, hey, Darius is heating up, or kind of like a Steph Curry. And that can change a game. So I think a couple times a season, if he stays healthy, that's going to happen. Hopefully we get out of Slate week 1-1. If not, that's okay. Young team, first coach, a lot of excitement, Sam, for the Cavs, a lot of excitement, and a lot of excitement for you. Congrats on your job at SI, Sam. This about does it for this episode of Cavs on the Break NBA podcast. Thank you so much for downloading and listening. Shouts to the Press Play Podcast Network for making this possible. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at Cavs on the Break. We always follow back. Make sure to follow Sam on Twitter at Amico Hoops to stay up to date on all the things going on in Sam's life and over at SI. Sam, thank you so much for the show tonight, catching us on your way back from the Celtics game. Any final thoughts?
That's it. I just I really thank our listeners and our readers because it's I know it sounds corny, but I don't think writers and podcasters and those people do that enough, because it's just we share the passion that they do, and they make it all go for us, and I'm really excited about this for them, this change, and the fact that you and I, it's going to free me up to visit with you and do these podcasts more. Obviously, our plans are big throughout the season, so I'm very, very excited about all of it. So, as usual, just stick with the team, Cavs fans, and I think you'll be confident that you'll see something pretty cool grow. So those are my final thoughts. I know they were probably way longer than you wanted, but there they are.
No, perfect. Hey, in congratulatory manner for your SI job, do you want to take us out on the show, Sam? Mike Breen, take us out. You want to take it this time?
I think I can do it. I've heard you do it enough. So I'll give it my best shot. Everybody, thank you for listening. And Mike Breen, take us out.
Congratulations, Cleveland. Your decades-long wait is finally over. The Cavaliers are NBA champions.